The story of the bad mother that I'm going to tell is not very well known, and yet, it was in reality. If you have an iron heart, nerves, and soul of a sumo wrestler, sit down, get comfortable, and read this story. But if you have a weak heart, and you can't stand cruelty and blood, then close your ears. In a small town in Spain, many years ago, a woman named Rosa lived in a hut. Together with her husband, she raised 4 children, 2 sons and 2 daughters. Her eldest son's name was Francisco. Javier was younger. Then she gave birth to Maria, and the youngest was Lucia. Those who knew Rosa said that she was a good woman, but after her husband's death, she slowly began to go crazy. Little by little, she began to treat her children worse and worse. Boys and girls were afraid of her, because of any, even the smallest fault, she lost her temper, and beat them with such force that the children's crying resounded throughout the house. The neighbors began to suspect that Rosa had turned into a bad mother, but they could not imagine how bad she had become. One night, the weather forecast on the radio predicted heavy hail and snowfall with a storm. It was very cold, and Rosa told the children to go chop wood and get axes from the barn. The children knew that their mother would be angry if they didn't listen to her. After a few minutes, they found themselves on the street, armed with flashlights, bags, and axes. They also took some rotten meat with them, in case they encountered wild animals. As soon as they reached the middle of the forest, Rosa took her son, Francisco, aside. "Francisco, come with me," she said. "And you cockroaches, look for firewood." Without saying a word, Francisco grabbed his bag and followed his mother. When they were out of sight of the other children, the mother turned to him and said, "Francisco, take off the bag and stand still." He took the bag off his shoulder, and his mother went behind him. "I hope you understand what I'm going to do," she said. "Your father was the only one who worked, and without him, we were lost. There are already too many mouths in our house, and I'm hungry. Sorry, but now, no pity." Having said that, his mother raised the axe and brought it down on her son's head. The axe went right through his son's neck, and his head fell into the bag. Then Francisco's body collapsed into the snow, still clutching the bag in his hands. The mother washed the blood from the axe with snow, and went to the other children. "Francisco was eaten by a bear," she said. "It's not safe here. We'd better go home." The poor children didn't know that their mother had done it. They cried all the way, shaken by the loss of their older brother. They did not suspect that they were destined for the same fate. At home, when the children began to wash and put themselves in order, Rosa called Javier and said that she needed help in the kitchen. Javier, who has always been an obedient child, ran like a bullet to the kitchen. "Make me some tea, you little cockroach," Rose ordered. When the tea was ready, she growled, "Bring me the bottle that is on the top shelf of the cabinet." The boy did as he was told. Rosa poured the contents of the vial into the tea, and then handed it to Javier, and told him to drink it. Little Javier didn't suspect anything at all. He took the cup from his mother's hand and gulped it down. He never found out that his terrible mother poisoned tea with cyanide. A minute later, Javier crawled up the stairs and collapsed in front of his sisters. He was rolling around on the floor, foaming at the mouth. Lucia ran downstairs and shouted, "Mom! Mom!" Javi's heart seems to have stopped. Rosa calmly climbed the stairs and found Javier lying motionless on the bedroom floor. His sisters were crying over him. The mother kicked his corpse with her foot and told the girls that their brother was dead. That evening, Maria and Lucia barely fell asleep. Early the next morning, Rosa entered Maria's bedroom and woke her up. "Don't get up today," she whispered. "There is no need to do any housework today. Do you hear me, my cute little cockroach? Maria nodded, and Rosa sat down on the corner of the bed and began to sing her a lullaby. It was a song she sang when Maria was still a baby. The girl calmed down and closed her eyes. Suddenly, Rosa took an awl out of her sleeve, and before Maria realized what was happening, she plunged it into her daughter's chest, right into her heart. Maria died instantly. A few hours later, Lucia woke up and went to her sister's bedroom. She was horrified to discover that the bed was soaked in blood, and Maria was dead. Frightened, Lucia ran downstairs. "Mom! Mom!" she screamed. "The killer got into the house while we were sleeping and killed Maria." "I have to confess," the mother said calmly. "I loved and hated my sons and daughters. I was the one who killed your brothers and sisters. I did it all. I cut off Francisco's head. I poisoned Javier with cyanide. I pierced Maria's heart with an awl, and now, I will slowly strangle you, so that you will die more painfully than your brothers and sisters. I hate you, cockroach." "No, Mom," Lucia cried. "Don't do this." But her crazy mother didn't listen to her, and soon Lucia was also lying dead on the floor. No one knows what happened to Rose. Maybe she went into the woods and died, or maybe she left town and changed her name. They didn't find her. They say that the house in which it happened is still standing, and the ghosts of the murdered children live in it. The locals say that if you go into the forest and say Francisco 5 times, the ghost of a boy without a head will appear from behind and chop off your head with an axe.